Supreme Court. This is a very serious situation with a lot of moving parts. We are talking about a man jailed for life, his legal team fighting hard, and the top legal minds of our nation questioning the foundation of the judgment. It's a classic Nigerian story of drama, law, and politics all mixed up together. Now, before I tell you what happens next with his transfer request, please, if you are enjoying this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Click on that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our real-time news and analysis. We bring you the full gist, straight up. I'm about to dive into the latest on his motion to be moved out of Sokoto Prison and why the judge recently picked a hole in his application. Remember I told you that the heart of the matter right now is his right to appeal. Kanu argued that being locked up in the Sokoto Correctional Facility, which is over 700 kilometers away from Abuja where the Court of Appeal sits, basically makes it impossible for him to pursue his appeal properly. His legal team said he needs to be closer to Abuja, maybe Suleja or Kefi Prison, so he can have easy access to the court registry, his legal papers, his family, and his lawyers who are mostly based in the capital city. But here is where the Nigerian judicial system shows its meticulous nature. The motion for the transfer, the paper filed in court, was rejected by the same Federal High Court Judge, Justice Omotosho, just a few days ago. The court did not reject the idea of him moving, but it rejected the method used to ask for the move. The judge pointed out a couple of things that a law student will even know is faulty. First, the application was filed ex parte, which in simple English means they asked the court to grant the order without notifying or hearing the side of the federal government and the Nigerian Correctional Service. Justice Omotosho said, "Look, this is an order compelling the federal government and the prison authorities to transfer a convict. You cannot ask me to make that kind of order without letting the other side speak. That is against the principle of fair hearing." So, he struck out that part and ordered that the federal government and the correctional service must be served, meaning they must be given the papers and allowed to respond. Justice must be balanced, you see. Secondly, and this is another big hole the judge picked in the application, he asked Kanu's new lawyer, who was provided by the Legal Aid Council, to look at the notice of appeal filed against the life sentence. It turned out that the notice of appeal was dated before the conviction and life sentence were handed down on November 20th. It means they filed the appeal against a judgment that had not yet been delivered, which is a big legal error. The judge noted that without a valid notice of appeal, the whole basis for demanding a transfer to pursue that appeal is seriously questioned. The lawyer agreed that they would take the necessary steps to correct this error. So, the matter is not finished. It has just been adjourned to late January 2026. This long adjournment is to allow Kanu's team to correct the legal procedures, that is, properly serve the government and file a correct appeal document before the court can look at the request for the transfer again. For now, he remains in Sokoto, which continues to fuel the debate by the senior advocates about whether his right to appeal is truly being protected. This brings us back to the main gist. Senior advocates demand immediate review. The top lawyers are not just talking about the transfer, they are talking about the substance of the conviction itself. They are saying that convicting a man for terrorism based mostly on verbal broadcast, without a clear link to a physical crime or violence, sets a dangerous legal precedent for Nigeria. They worry it could be used against anyone who speaks strongly against the government in the future. It's a battle between national security, which the government is defending, and fundamental human rights, which the senior advocates are championing. In all of this, let's remember what the real human side of this story is. Whether you agree with Kanu's politics or not, this case has profound implications for our entire nation, how we handle dissent, how we define terrorism, and ultimately, what kind of justice system we want to build. Keep your eyes glued to this channel because this story is far from over. His appeal process at the Court of Appeal, whenever it starts fully, is where the real legal fireworks will begin. Please, I've given you the full gist, the real-time updates, and the breakdown of the legal arguments. If you found this information helpful and sweet, don't forget to like this video and please subscribe to the channel. Your subscription helps us to keep bringing you this deep, professional analysis of the news that matters to every Nigerian. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, welcome to the channel, my wonderful viewers. We have a major, breaking story that is setting our legal and political landscape on fire today, and trust me, you need to hear this gist. You know how some stories just refuse to disappear, they keep boiling over and demanding our attention. Well, this is one of them. Take a look at this headline making all the rounds: Kanu conviction under fire, senior advocates demand immediate review. Phew. Now, when we see senior advocates, we are talking about the top lawyers in Nigeria, the people who have seen it all in our courts. These are legal heavyweights, senior advocates of Nigeria, SANs, and when they speak, the nation, and especially the judiciary, must listen. It means the issue is not small, it's fundamental. So, let's break down the real-time situation on the ground. This whole uproar is directly connected to the recent conviction and life sentence handed down to the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, by a federal high court in Abuja. You remember that judgment, right? It was just a few weeks ago, and it sent shockwaves across the country. The court found him guilty on 7 counts of terrorism charges. The judge, Justice Omotosho, even mentioned that he opted for life imprisonment instead of the death penalty out of mercy, even though he noted Kanu's unruly behavior during the proceedings. Now, why are the top lawyers, the SANs, shouting for an immediate review? It's not just about the conviction itself, but the process and the evidence used. His own legal team, led by Barrister Aloy Ejimeka, immediately rejected the ruling and vowed to appeal, saying the judgment was overbroad, cruel, and unusual. One of the key issues being raised by these top legal minds is how a person could be convicted on terrorism charges for mere broadcast, for words spoken from a location that was never clearly identified, without a solid, clear link to specific, criminal acts of violence. They're asking, how can you convict someone for incitement without bringing forward even one single person who can testify, yes, he is the one who incited me to commit this crime? This is a major procedural question that gets to the heart of our criminal justice system. They feel the verdict does not really match the evidence that was presented in court. And there is another very important part to this story that is causing a lot of concern. Mr. Kanu was recently transferred from a facility close to Abuja to the Sokoto Correctional Facility, which is quite far away. Now, his legal team and the family are saying this transfer makes it extremely difficult for him to have proper access to his lawyers, compile the necessary documents, and effectively pursue his appeal at the Court of Appeal in Abuja. He actually filed a motion, signing it himself because he had sacked his previous defense team, to be transferred back to a prison closer to Abuja, like Suleja or Kefi. The court is still handling that application, but the argument from the legal community is that denying him easy access to his counsel and the court essentially makes his constitutionally guaranteed right to appeal almost impossible. And when top lawyers start talking about selective justice or a fatal procedural error, we all need to pay attention, because it affects everybody. The gist of the matter is that the life sentence verdict, which the federal government's council celebrated as bringing an end to injustice and oppression, is now facing intense legal scrutiny from within Nigeria's own legal elite. This is a battle over the rule of law, which is bigger than any one person or political group. It's about ensuring that even for the most serious charges, the legal process is followed to the letter and that justice is seen to be done, not just done. Because if the process is flawed for one high-profile case, it can be flawed for any case, and that is what these senior advocates are demanding a review of. This whole matter has become more than just a legal case. It's a political headache and a source of deep emotional investment for millions of Nigerians, especially those in the southeast. We've seen other actors, like political leaders and even governors from the southeast, calling for a political solution to the case even before this recent conviction. They believe that a prolonged detention and endless legal battle will only worsen the tension in the region. So, the question on many people's minds is, Will the mounting pressure from these prominent senior advocates of Nigeria force the government to reconsider the entire handling of this case, or will the appeal process be allowed to run its full course all the way to the Supreme